Well, very good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Bedford Blues TV, effectively, as we call it. We're going to have a look back in history, and I'm very delighted that you are here and with me to look back in this game two of Bedford's finest, quite frankly. Alongside me, casting their eye over this occasion, is one Mr. Jake Sharp. Good morning, Jake. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. How's
Yeah,
things, Sam?
good, very good to have you with us. And alongside him to look at things through a forward spectacles is Justin Blanchet. Justin, how are you?
Morning, Sam. How you doing?
Yeah, good, very good. Thank you very much for being there. Well, we're going to go all the way back to January 2019, boys, and a certain game against Coventry. Justin, I'll start with you. When I say that, Bedford versus Coventry, is this the game that sort of sticks in your memory?
Yeah, from what I can remember of our games, I think this one in particular was quite a high scoring one, and I think we had, well, especially against Coventry, we had a few thrillers, and yeah, they're always a tough side to play against, some big boys. So yeah, I think we really relished playing against them. Hence probably the scoreline a little bit, but yeah, it's always good fun.
And Jake, obviously, you had a little bit of personal history. There was enough sort of inter-club history out there on the pitch as well. It must have been a game that you were secretly looking forward to.
Yeah, but yeah. Obviously, I'd signed for Coventry that season, and it all ended pretty quickly. So to go back to Bedford was cool, and then to play those guys, couldn't really not come away with that game from a win from a personal point of view. But yeah, definitely one that lives long in the memory of an exciting game for sure.
Absolutely, and much was made after the game of quite what you put everyone through, fans and coaching staff alike. Justin, have you ever played in a game that was so high scoring and so close?
Um, well, you're talking to two players who played for Bedford here, so um, yeah, I would. I can't remember whether we'd ever scored that many points and let in that many points and still won a game. But yeah, from what I remember, it was always exciting.
Yeah.
And the famous Bedford throwing it around. I think it sort of lived up to the hype a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake, did you speak to Mike afterwards soon, or were you embargoed? Was any player embargoed from speaking to him for about a week? I would have thought. Just let him be. Just let him come too.
All the 10 years I knew Mikey, that's probably one of the most stressful ones he's had. But we had a few in those last few years. I think we did London Scottish, which was 45 all maybe as well.
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
When I was playing for Scottish, so yes.
Hang on a second, I can see a theme here. I can see a theme.
Yeah, I might bring it out of people. Who knows? But yeah, no.
Oh, good stuff. Right, we're going to cross down to Will Roberts on the touchline. He's got some team news for us.
This is how Coventry line up. 15 and fullback David Halifanua, 14 and right wing Junior Bullamacau, outside centre wearing 13 Rob Knox, partnering him at inside centre Heath Stevens, on the left wing wearing number 11 Andy Bullamacau, into the halfbacks at 10 Tony Fenner, at 9 Pete White. Moving to the forwards at loosehead, James Gibbons. Scott Tolmie wears 2, and rounding off the front row, Phil Bolton wears 3. Tom Jubb wears 4, and George Oram wears 5, making up the second row partnership for Coventry this afternoon. Into the back row, Dan Khalifa wears 6, Ben Nutley at open side wears 7, and Adam Peters wears 8 and plays 8. Onto the replacements for Coventry. At 16, Darren Dariduk. At 17, Charlie Beach. 18, Josh McNulty. 19, Ben Adams. 20, Latu McCarthy. 21, Tom Kessel. And 22, Will Maisie. Now onto the home side, the Bedford Blues. 15 and fullback, Rich Lane. 14 and wing, Ryan Hutler. 13 and outside centre, Lewis Robling. 12 and inside centre, Chris Checkeye. 11 and left wing, Pat Tapley. Playing 10, Jake Sharp. At scrum half, James Lennon. Into the forwards, at 1, loosehead, Sean McCarthy. At 2, Jacob Fields. And at tight head, wearing 3, Ben Cooper. Into the engine room, at 4, Ed Taylor. And at 5, Mark Flanagan. At blindside, Justin Blanchet. Open side, Hugh Worthington. And at 8, Jared Williams. Here's the replacements for Bedford today. 16, Charlie Clare. 17, Toby Trinder. 18, Alex Penny. 19, Josh Bajaya. 20, Will Carrick-Smith. 21, Joe Green. And 22, Matt Worley.
Okay then, boys, I hope you can see this. Coventry have just come out. It was January 2019, but by the looks of it, a pretty good day, a pretty nice day. Did that sort of, do you remember any sort of idea as to whether that would have sort of changed your approach to the way that you were going to do it? I mean, January isn't always famous for giving you an opportunity to run rugby, but this was definitely one of those. Jake, did you feel it? Did you feel an opportunity to give it a go today?
Yeah, it's probably two things I was thinking. I think you've got to run uphill first, so that gives you one mindset. I don't know if it really changed for Justin, but yeah, I mean, any bright day at Coventry Road was always a good chance for us to go and have a play and test the team. So yeah,
I think we always quite enjoyed playing at home around the winter months because, well, Goldington Road is one of the very few clubs that sort of still had a really nice pitch. So. Yeah, I think we always quite enjoyed playing back at home on a nice turf.
We mentioned the fact that there was a lot of players from the Coventry team that you sort of knew about. How does that change a game and dynamics that you're sort of aware of the sort of threats that are coming your way? Does it change it much, Jake?
Yeah, I think so. I think, me and Fenner have always, Anthony Fenner have always stayed pretty close. So, always funny to play against your mates. And then obviously trained with those guys for 3 or 4 months and played with them. So you pick up some of their good habits and their bad habits, as they probably did for me as well. So, yeah, some good opportunities in there to try and exploit. And I think both teams exploited them pretty well. So.
Justin, can you remember any sort of initial sort of tactics that Bedford would have had? Can you remember how that would have manifested itself?
To be honest, I think with these sort of games, I think we really focused on ourselves quite a little bit. And I mean, as much as, if you look at their team sheet, it's pretty intimidating. There's some big boys, some big ball carriers and things. And I think for us, a lot of the times it was sort of trying to stick to our systems as much as possible and kind of playing in the Bedford way a little bit.
We had JP Foley, mix me referees there. JP Doyle in charge. Did that make a difference to a certain extent? Having someone of his sort of ability in charge, was that something you were looking forward to?
Yeah, JP was always good. Always having that experience ref. Always having the JP wants to let the game play. We've seen that throughout his career, so that makes life better. And you've got. It's pretty much 2 teams of Bedford here with the amount of lads that played. So, yeah, some exciting rugby that was definitely going to go on show. No one had predicted how it did go, but people like Pete White who want to play real quick and fast suits him just as much as it suited us.
And you can see here, Justin, Coventry certainly laying down a marker pretty early as to what they want to do with the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I think a nice little break just there. I think caught us a little bit off guard. But like Sharpie was saying, they played quite a quick, expansive game against us in this game. So I think it caught us a little bit off guard here.
Yeah, and I think this ends up with being a double penalty with a bit of offside and an opportunity for some points, which they actually kicked into the corner, I think. But it was certainly. I mean, I can remember watching it and thinking, Coventry have come to play here, and they're certainly wanting to make an impression down the slope as well. I mean, a lot of people talk about the slope and how it affects things, but it can really give you an impetus into a game, can't it?
Yeah, hugely. The one for me, you don't really realise when you play on it week in, week out, but sort of when I left for the year and a half that I did, when you come back, you definitely feel it a lot more than you realised. So that playing uphill was always tough. I think the key thing to remember, Coventry hadn't won an away game all season at this point, and I think they saw this as a bit of an opportunity. So definitely the reason they wanted to start playing, and for us, no one likes to lose at Bedford. So yeah, to fight that out was real good.
Justin, what's it like playing at Goldington Road? I mean, obviously it's always a good vociferous crowd, but it's relatively small enough. You know, nearly 3,000 people here for you to sort of like almost pick out a few people. But there's certain parts of the crowd that you could always hear. And I mean, down in this corner, for instance, are there voices that you can kind of sort of recognise, if you like?
Well, I mean, it's kind of difficult when you're sort of in the moment a little bit. I rarely hear anyone else speaking, to be honest, especially with my scrum cap. So, so I think you can definitely, when there's breaks in play, you can definitely hear that corner in particular. Looks like I'm getting manhandled here a little bit.
Well, talk us through this. I mean, you know, it's a big part of the game, and I don't know. As a forward, is it kind of reassuring to have a little bit of early fisticuffs early on?
No, it's the modern game. It's never really fisticuffs. It's always a bit of shoving and a bit of pulling and stuff. But yeah, it's all part of it, I think.
Yeah.
Someone that was always in the middle of it. That's what you just
I was going to say, Jake, you were very quickly across. Wait, where were you in that? Where?
I was going to go and have a chat with Fenner, if I'm honest.
Oh dear, absolutely. Well, I mean, let's talk about defence as well, because this would obviously been on your mind, Justin. What sort of things are you trying to do here at the line-out? Try and break it up, try and defend it, try and stay on the floor. What are you looking to do?
Yeah, I think, well, as you saw just there, I think just fly into it a little bit. I knew that, well, we all knew that their big threat was their driving maul. And I think throughout the training week, we had a big emphasis on kind of being destructive with our efforts and trying to stop it at source. So I think, as you can see there, it's not a bad attempt from us. Good commitment from us all to just fly in there and stop it.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to sort of like defend 5 meters out, channel after channel. And you can see that they continue to ask this question at the line out again. I mean, how do you, are you trying to read things here from them? Is there any part of you trying to read what they're speaking about, what they're talking about here, Justin?
So not necessarily what they're saying and things like that, but I think we've got a pretty good idea coming into the game as to where they might look to go up. And Flanners is always a wily old character, as you can see here. So he's had a good attempt at trying to get the ball back. And so yeah, it was always really nice playing with Flanners because he's always got a calm head and he's very clear with his instructions and stuff. So I guess from that point of view, it was very nice to have him on our team.
Yeah, and I can see the big smiling face of Phil Bolton there as well. I can only imagine he's quite chirpy in these sort of situations. Do you hear a lot from Phil? Yeah,
Phil's probably the first. In fact, it might have been him that was dragging me around the floor just a minute ago. But yeah, I remember in this game in particular, he was a little bit more vocal. So yeah, if there is such a thing.
Absolutely. Talking under the posts, who's the guy chatting? What are you saying to yourselves? You know, sort of. I mean, it's very early on, obviously. What are you saying to yourselves, Jake, underneath the posts?
No, not really. I think any time early on, probably the early chat is that they've come to play. You can see that in their intent, and then the next thing would be pretty cliche, but what's our next job? We've got a good intent to go and get set at the halfway line, and then my job to make sure the kick's on the money, really, just to apply that pressure.
Okay. And where is this? Where do you want this kick to go? Ideally, what are you trying to do?
I was aiming exactly where it landed, Sam.
It's right in the hands of Buller Macau.
Anything in that 5 metre channel is the dream. That's where easiest to defend, and we put them under maximum pressure and let Justin and his back row colleagues go around and end in people's kneecaps. So I think that's what we can be excited from that point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's always an opportunity with this man on the field, and it gets back to him, and Rich Lane's whirling dervishes start to warm up, and the crowd starts to warm to it as well, don't they?
Yeah, this is, Lane has been doing that for 2 or 3 years now with Bedford, and we probably show our over intent to play here, but Coventry give us lots of space, and some great stuff there from Lou and Ryan, and I think that's our first attack. So this is when you know it's going to be an exciting day when two teams score that quick.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, just the sort of freedom and the trust you can sort of see. I mean, the camera almost didn't pick it up, but the ability to find those people making the inside runs, and it's a classic scrum half line there from James Lennon.
Yeah, he's a smart player. Once he can keep himself fit for more than 2 or 3 weeks, he'll be flying and get those shoulders sorted. But real savvy, and had a lot of experience with Dicko around him. I think Dicko may have got injured the game before this, if I'm right. So Jiffy knew he had a good chance to make that shirt his and enjoy himself.
What was Lee Dixon like when he was injured? Was he more intense, making up for it?
You can go first, Justin.
He's not going to be listening. Don't worry.
No, Lee was a great person to have around the club. I think both on and off the field, he was just such a great character to have. And he was sort of a big driver in our standards. Even when he was injured, he had a big impact on all the boys. I think he had a bit more of a coaching role whilst he was injured, which was fine. He was a real key asset for us.
Again, go on, Jake.
Just saying, you can't fault someone's experience like that, and someone who was just so dedicated to the team. Yeah, I remember. This is really clever from Coventry, actually. So they'd done this play for 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And then they'd done their homework on us and realised that we sort of left that space that Rob Knox has just run through. And I think it was actually Will Maisie who came up with that with Fenner. So that's 2 ex-Bedford boys playing a real clever hand there to put us under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, and it looked a little bit easy, but you're saying it was very much in the preparation. It looked as though it had been a mistake, but it's more of a reading of an opportunity than anything else from Cov there.
Yeah, so they'd gone all the time, but they'd gone pretty direct twice. And then when we look back, Czechs is looking in at trying to hit the guy that we thought they were going to hit, and they went across us. So it's a misread from us and a clever bit of homework from Coventry. I don't think Fenner missed all day either.
No, I was just about to talk about that. I mean, it's a funny thing because as we see, it does become a big sort of part of the afternoon is the accuracy of the kicking from both sides, because obviously, I think at one stage every score is divisible by 7. Every try is being converted, and how much, Jake, are you watching that and aware of the fact that your opposite man is pinging everything? Does that cross your psyche during a game?
Yeah, it's really irritating. But I think Fenn is someone else who had something to prove, having probably not got the rub of the green at Bedford when he was here fully, and has gone and done some real good things with Cov. So he doesn't normally kick for Coventry. I think he goes 9 from 9. I think I went 9 from 10. I missed the last kick. Yeah. It's always in your mind, and where Bedford were thinking about scoring tries first before kicking, but it definitely helps.
Certainly. A big back row for Bedford, Hugh and Jared alongside you Justin. Always in a Bedford side, there's an opportunity to carry and an opportunity to make yards, and today was no different, was it? You're always looking to make inroads from the back row as well as all your other sort of responsibilities in the game. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it was a little bit more difficult to carry when Jared was on the pitch because there was a few less rucks being hit. But yeah, he was. Exactly like you said. There's always opportunity to carry, and that's kind of the Bedford way, I guess. There's like you were saying earlier. There's real trust for everyone to to have their hands on the ball and play with it. So yeah, it was always good fun playing at Bedford.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, looking at that, Jake, I mean, that is a really good score from Coventry, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, annoyingly, but some actually two. I think Coventry had come, like I said, having not won an away game and downhill, and they've got a big pack. They were tough to defend. I think see Justin going after Halafanua there, trying to shut him down, and they got a lot of threats. Buller, both of them are pretty devastating in the Championship. So we knew we were on for a tough one, but we're definitely a bit soft and loose early on in this.
Yeah, I mean, there were some missed tackles there, but at the same time, their ability to keep the ball alive and to find people and then throw balls out wide as well, it must have felt as though even this early in the game that you were chasing things a little bit, Justin.
Yeah, you're probably right. They certainly made a few things look quite easy at the start of the game, especially the try previous to this. So. It was a little bit worrying being under those posts, but you kind of have to regroup a little bit. And after all, it's an 80-minute game, and things change, momentum switches, everything like that. So there was still plenty of time, so no one was getting worried. But yeah.
And good for the crowd. There's 21 points already. So
yeah, indeed. Don't worry. We'd certainly thinking we were going to get our money's worth. We didn't quite know how much money we were going to get, but we certainly knew that. Again, another sort of forward-orientated restart. You can see Phil Bolton there. He's chirping along at the front of that maul, isn't he?
Of course he is. Yeah.
Pete White with the up and under, and again, Rich Lane grabbing it out of the sky. Down it comes. James Lennon, a little bit of opportunity maybe. Again, you can see the intent from Bedford. There is always looking to sort of give it. How much chat is there here, Jake, from you? Oh, Lennon goes through and is looking for people, and he manages to hold on to that very well. How much chat, Jake, is from you as to steer things here and to push people in? Is it all coming from you, or are there other people involved?
You tend to normally take over around sort of anywhere in between both 22s would be where you put your 10 and your sort of outside backs. But I think we probably spoke about there just trying to be direct and actually just keeping the ball for more than probably under 30 seconds.
Is that part of it as well, Jake? Obviously, having endured what you'd endured and a few scores to go behind, there is a case to be made to just holding on to the ball and just giving yourself the opportunity to grow into the game. Yeah,
massively. I think JP smart as well, so he knows people like Ben Nutley have been around a while, know how to beat the game. So we knew there would always be opportunities for some penalties, and then keeping the ball was really important, just because it's a lot easier to keep the ball in attack than it is to defend for long periods of time, especially in the mantra that Bedford play.
Absolutely.
And it gives a great chance for Justin to be dynamic in the air.
Oh, and penalised as well. What went on there, Justin? That was unfair.
Definitely wasn't anything to do with my jumping. I think that was...
I was going to get you to talk us through an offensive line-out, but maybe we'll have another one of those for you to have a look at.
Yeah, I think that was a specific one we brought in for that week. So it worked really well, other than the penalty or whatever it was against us.
Free kick, yeah.
But I think, would you like me to talk you through this one?
Yeah, go on.
So this looks like it's a 6-man. Planners, yeah.
Quick off the
Sorted.
top.
Off the top, easy as that. That's lineups for you.
Oh, Justin, that was insightful. That was so good.
You're welcome.
Oh, Sharpie, can you talk us through the next line out?
That was brilliant, Justin. Honestly.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, dear. Maybe we'll get an opportunity a little bit later. Roblin gathers a ball pretty well. There was some some good ball players in this Bedford side. I mean, experience in Chekai and yourself, but some good ball players as well, and always looking to sort of ask questions, and that must be quite nice to play in that sort of lineup, Jake, where you've got that sort of skill around you.
Yeah, it makes life a lot easier. I think there's a pretty archetypal back line in the Championship, and I don't think Bedford really fit that. There's definitely a lot more ball players than ball carriers, so just makes it a lot harder to defend, and opportunities like that down short sides become a lot easier than normal.
Absolutely. James Lennon making another break, and are they going to come back for another? Oh, it's
a knock on, I think.
Yeah. JP Doyle getting involved again, but again, abilities to make things work in small spaces with big men down that short side. I mean, Jared Williams operating in, well, about as much space as would allow him. Hopefully he doesn't listen either.
Correct.
But again, it just sort of shows that the ambition of the Blues, and again, it must have, even though you were behind here, you must have been thinking, this is okay, this is working.
Yeah, I think it's. Sorry, go ahead, Sharpie. You're probably a better person to answer this.
Yeah, you just think, the hardest thing is when you're attacking and not find any momentum, whether that's through the middle collision or around the edges like Bedford normally do. So the excitement was we knew we were finding holes, and it's probably more of a concern around just not letting people get in the holes that we're creating ourselves from a defensive point of view.
And Jared, brilliant carry, again a real asset when it comes out wide here. Lane to Roebling at a bit of space. Tapley back inside to Roebling. And more good ball play. And Hugh Worthington goes over the line. And I think everyone at Goldington Road in the vicinity was starting to cook. Was starting to think this is going to be a good afternoon. Whatever happens, this is going to be a good afternoon. It must have felt like that a little bit out on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's definitely got their season tickets worth, that's for sure. This is always a weird one for most geekers. You're always excited about the try happening, but then you think, I've got to go and kick this now. So the time to calm down now and try and get this bit right. But it's 28 all, is it? And it's probably only been about 10 minutes played. So both teams chasing bonus points in the first half. It's exciting.
Absolutely. We mentioned in there, Jared, providing that sort of ability to bring people in. With his run, defenders start to be sucked into where he is, which gives space out wide. Is that right, Sharpie?
Say that again, sorry, I lost you, Sam.
So with Jared and the fact that he is so direct and takes a fair few people to bring him down, it creates a little bit more space out wide, doesn't it?
Oh, hugely. All I'm ever looking for from an attacking sense is how many people are stuck in a breakdown. So Jared's ability to take 2 or 3 men with him to put them on the floor just means there's more holes for us on the edge. And Lou took great opportunity with that, as did Lena. So Jared made a hell of a difference in terms of our ball carrying ability, and I think Justin had to pick up a lot of the other work, but Jared definitely gave us that.
Oh, good clear out from Justin there. Good man to get out of the way. And again, it's a cliche within rugby, but it is so much about this doing your job well. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes down to the game, it's so easy to sort of look past the tiny details and look at the big picture, I guess. But ultimately, if each individual focuses on their role, then it makes things a lot simpler. And you have sort of key personnel like Sharpie who can worry about the bigger picture. But it's more sort of the piano pushers rather than piano players that just have to sort of focus on their roles and do their bit for the team.
Talk us through the defensive sets here, because Coventry are resetting quite quickly and quite well. What's the discussion, Justin, around the fringes, and how are you trying to communicate with people to get people in the right places?
So here, I think it's just a bit of a scramble to get as many people on their feet as possible. Like you said, their whole intent from the breakdown is to play as quickly as possible, and our sort of defensive principles were to fill the field as much as possible. And so, yeah, you can see players scrambling to get back up on their feet, which is obviously tough work if you're making 2 or 3 tackles on the bounce. And sometimes these sort of tries happen, but yeah, I think for all of us, we're just trying to work our nuts off a little bit, if I can say that.
Yeah, you can.
And yeah, just try and fill the line and fill the field and get bodies on bodies. Really.
Were there any mistakes there, Jake, as you sort of look back in it? And of course, you're now looking back at it, as a coach. Do you look at it in a slightly different way? Do you sort of see things that you go, oh, there was something there that just opened a little chink of light for them?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is just momentum. I think that was a good example. Just from one of the tackles in the middle of the field, they managed to affect 2 or 3 people, sort of clearing deep past the ball, which means you get sort of no fold, which means it's very hard to create line speed and get body on body opportunity to defend. So, the hard bit about trying to stop an offload is it probably needs 2 of you to do it. So if they get it away, they're instantly winning in the same way that Jared had that effect. So yeah, you're constantly trying to play with that battle of winning collision, understanding what your position are doing while staying in your system. So once you get that blend right, which we definitely didn't on this day, was it becomes a lot easier to defend.
Was there any discussion, Justin, about, and that sounds strange from a Bedford point of view, about sort of slowing the game down? I know that sounds a strange thing to say in hindsight with what happened, but to a certain extent, you talk about control and things. Was there any chat about trying to sort of control the game a little bit and not have it so fast paced?
Well, I think from a defensive perspective, you're always kind of you're trying to slow that ball down anyway. So whether it be in dominant impacts or slowing the ball through jackals or whatever it is, that's your sort of main role as a defensive unit. But it kind of, I guess it, like there's a time and a place to play slowly, and there's a time and place to really put on the pressure. And yeah, I guess for us, we were getting quite good. We were making quite good inroads with our attack. So I think for us, we kind of wanted to keep the foot on the pedal a little bit in terms of our attack and just keep that momentum going, which is what they were doing to us. So yeah, I think for us, it was really working to play that high tempo game as it was for them. So yeah.
I think with that as well, when you've got 2 teams that have got good intent, that ability to keep your fundamentals right, your skill set right, is probably what makes the difference. I think those challenges when you play, there's quite a lot of sort of set piece to set piece teams in the championship, which something that Bedford have probably never really been. We've always wanted to play and have high level of ball plan. So when you've got 2 teams going at it like this, it always leads for a very good day. And actually both teams have been pretty accurate. Coventry probably more so at this first 20 minutes.
Well, Anthony Fender was called for the tee and a kick at goal, which gives everyone a little bit of a time to rethink and have a little bit of a rest, and maybe sort of just think about it. I mean, how much of that is used in the game, Justin, as an opportunity just to sort of settle a little bit and think, right, this is what we need to go and do.
Yeah, I think breaks in play are quite crucial. So like this, like you said, we're kind of catching our breath a little bit here. There's a few hands on hips and things like that. But also it gives us a bit of a time to regroup and kind of see what's working, and then exploiting anything that we've found that's working really. So yeah, those breaks in play are quite crucial.
A 22 dropout, chuck it around, Jake. Was there any real intent there, or was it all a little bit subterfuge?
No, you got to be excited about that bit. I think Mikey always gets excited about trying to play from there and catch people off guard. But yeah, a lot of the time it's just getting your breath back a little bit longer than the keeper gave you.
Okay. Again, more work, Justin, for you to have to do around the fringes. Some direct runners. You must be getting quite used to it now from a Bedford point of view.
Yeah. I think I made quite a few tackles in this game, although the scoreline doesn't really show that. But they're doing what works at the moment. They're just carrying hard and making us work a little bit.
You've got to really, when you've got so many good ball carriers like they do, it's a really, so from that 22, you've got two choices. Do you go long and invite someone like Dave to run at you, Halafanua real hard and direct, or do you kick short and try and get the ball back? And you see here, we probably put ourselves under too much pressure and given them the right change anyway. So that's always stuff that's planned in your mind from a opposition point of view.
Yeah, and you can see a few players there getting a little bit frustrated, and it's Sean McCarthy, I'm sure, a quiet man normally, but perhaps something to say about it under the sticks.
Yeah, it's always pretty polite under there and pretty well spoken. A lot of the time, the worst thing people can ever do is try and pick individuals out. I think in this case, it's just a collective realisation at what point are we going to wake up and realise when we attack we're in a good place, and let's actually defend how we were defending all season rather than letting 4 tries in under half hour. Yeah,
I mean, that's a good point, Justin. It was a little bit out of character for Bedford, this, to a certain extent. Did you then have that confidence behind you to think, well, hang on a second, we are a better defensive side than this?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, to be honest, because like our attack was going really well, and other than a few sort of accuracy issues, that was the only thing that was really letting us down. So it was a bit bizarre, just kind of doing all that good work attacking wise, and then just being under our own sticks again. So it was very frustrating, and I think that, they were just putting us under a lot of pressure, to be honest. So.
Decision here to go into the corner, and does that come from that sort of Jake? Does that come from the feeling of offensive sort of ascendancy, or the feeling that you certainly had an opportunity every time you got the ball in hand?
Yeah, and definitely from my point of view, take the hill into consideration. So it's hard to get out of that bottom corner. So. We don't really want to be down there for too long, and we've obviously spent a lot of time down there defending. So just have a bit of time in the opposition half, make the ref make lots of decisions, get us excited about attacking is probably the thought process there.
There's a rolling ball, Justin, as well.
Yeah, it's good to see, to be honest.
How many were in that line-out, Justin?
Don't test him. Ball out here, Robbling and Rich Lane combining out wide, and again Bedford asking questions of their own. Again, big runners and a big clear out needed as well. Ball, Sharpie, little bit of vision. How much was that on the hoof? Did you see it? How did that work? How did that come to be, Jake Sharp?
Yes, you're looking at two. Well, I was looking at two things. I'm looking at what Whitey's doing as a 9. They like to defend high in the line, so good spacing behind, and him and Dave are doing the same job. So Ryan, actually, fair play to him. He doesn't say a lot on the pitch, but he definitely knows how to hunt out the try line and just said, look, the space is there and we put it in there, and he's definitely quicker than I am to get there. So,
is it a wink and a nod to him? How much of it is sort of instinct? How much of it's communication?
To be fair to Ryan, he spoke through a lot of that. I'm just trying to pick up the cues of where I think the holes are going to be. What he was giving me it from how they defended, and then they just saw their fullback over Jason. So Ryan, to see that is a testament to what he's looking at.
JP Doyle continuing to make his way around the pitch and talk to people.
Just having a good chat. Yeah, good chat on the way.
Yeah. It's key, that, isn't it? I mean, they come in for some stick, but, good referees are usually very good communicators.
Yeah, I think it's you look at the guys at the top now with Nigel Owens and Wayne Barnes and JP and all these guys, are just an ability to have conversations with players at a level where they understand that lads like Justin who have made 300 tackles already, or I don't think I made that many in my career, so it's a little bit, But there's your coach killer. You've gone from doing some really good attacking play to then really poor and inviting a lot of external pressure now. So back to defending it is.
Yeah. Justin, do you shoot a few looks around? Do you sort of try and give the backs the evils when they do things like that?
No, I think.
You're far too nice a bloke. I know you are.
Yeah.
I think at this point I'm just trying to catch my breath a little bit.
I'll be honest, Justin was actually pretty good. He wasn't the by any stretch the worst for that. There was definitely a few of them that would look at me and go, "What are you doing?" And yeah. Apologies, lads. Go and stop that line out.
I just wanted you to have a go, boys. Oh dear. A penalty and opportunity which to clear a few lines for the Blues as well. JP Doyle's arm outstretched in the way of the home side, and Sharpie looking down the channels. What are you saying there, Sharpie? What do you turn around and speak to them? What are you saying to them in that position? I mean, obviously they're saying to you, don't make sure you kick it out, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell on the video, but there's a lot of wind.
Yeah, I know.
So testament to me and Feneth, they're not missing all day. But I mean, from that, your initial chat is, I'd probably go to Flanners and just say, okay, what do you actually want? Do you want to drive or should we play? And then what I probably should have done is go, lads, let me get this, and then I'll get it out, and then we'll have a chat.
But it kind of worked out for you in the end. Lena down the other flank doing a little bit of magic. I've never seen an ability to get back off the floor as well as Rich Lane does. He's sort of down on the floor and up within milliseconds. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, he's definitely better on your team than anyone else's. That's for sure. He's a deadly guy.
It's all those fast twitch fibres that are just getting him up off the floor there.
Indeed. Right, Justin, it's a line out. Talk us through it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, let me count. Yeah, 6 + 1. Eddie T, and we drop it. That's all part of the plan.
I mean, again, you talk about it, they joke about it, but to a certain extent, that is difficult because you have a plan, and then obviously it doesn't go to plan. Then you've got to rethink things, and again, communication, talking to each other, just trying to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. I think communication's massive in these kind of times. I think when you're trying to put a little bit of pressure on them and you're that close to the line, I think everyone has to have a bit of a cool head and just think about the process and just focus on their job, really. And
is this slightly different? You're slightly closer to the line, so are you thinking about keeping this in and not giving it to the backs?
Yeah, I think that's the plan on this one. Hopefully we can get a bit of. Oh no, that was all part of the plan as well. So good job by Coops there, just to roll out of that one.
Jared pressing, but they're going to go back and going to give the ball. Is that holding on? What was that penalty for? I
think that was Tails clearing someone out off the ball.
Off the ball. Okay.
Yeah, which is a bit of a.
That's frustrating. I mean, there's not many refs that will pick that up, to be honest. I mean, they got us early on for their earlier try, so that's a good learning for anyone that's playing with top end refs. They pick up that stuff that you think you'll get away with. So,
right. But do you have to adjust? Oh, the ball hasn't gone out, and
it's windy,
again,
Sam.
It is very windy. I could now that Pete White's done that, I definitely know that it's windy. But here we go, bit more Blues magic into the midfield, and Ryan and Lewis Robley are going to combine down this right hand side, which produced a good try early in the game for the Blues. Again, that the energy you must be feeling it. You must be feeling good about the opportunities here as they come your way, Jake.
Yeah, massively. And this is where I got most excited, just about trying to count my numbers up and figure out who I'm going to go and try and attack. But now it's down to Justin to try and get us a bit of go forward and break that defensive system up, however it looks.
A little bit of space, a little bit of offloading. Pat Tapley just trying to get away from people. Jared Williams just brought down, and again, the speed is everything really here. You know, the ability to get it away, left-handed pass out to Jacob Fields. And are we going to see ourselves across the line? James Lennon trying to get away from people. Flanners, big reach, big twist. And he's over. Oh, look, look, the hangers on, the groupies are in. Again, it just comes down to sort of a bit of ball playing. But I was going to say about the time, the speed with which, you know, someone like James Lennon, again, under probably with someone like Lee Dixon in his psyche, get the ball away, get that quick ball, give someone like you as much time as possible to play with the ball. Was that the kind of message, do you think?
Yeah, Jiffy definitely did a lot of learning from Lee, and you know, Dicko's probably the quickest I've ever played with, to be honest, and you know, that was good for me as well to come back and play with Dicko for that short period of time, but that ability to just keep moving that point of contact means it's really hard to defend. And, you know, when you've got people like Justin running around trying to, you know, end up oppositions, it becomes really hard when that game's moving that quickly. So, yeah, real good from Jiffy to be attacking that quick. Great kick. Wind had died down there. Great kick.
That was a good kick. I don't know who kicked that, but that was a really good kick. Just talk us through, what do you think about when you're kicking a goal, Jake?
Not a lot, really. You sort of learn over the years to. What you normally get was Noz shout just as you're setting up, get it over Sharpie, which was a nightmare. And I told him for 10 years to stop it. But other than that, really, you just very cliche, very boring. Just you go back to process and be quite relaxed. And you know, when you've kicked on that hill that much, you get a good feel for it. But
Halafanua just getting some space made for him by Nutley there. Again, a super pickup from JP Doyle to be able to see that.
Yeah, he's very good. He's very good, and he's got pretty good chat, to be fair to him as well. So it makes life a lot easier.
And an immediate opportunity to kick it into the corner and go again. Yeah,
now this is where, you know, you probably shifted the momentum from earlier. We've gone from seeing a lot of Coventry early on to now. We've probably spent the last 5 minutes in the opposition half. So now, once Justin's counted up the numbers in the line out, we can get excited about. I think we go off the top here, if I'm correct, and have a little play.
Let's see if Jake Sharp is correct with his memory banks. Jacob Fields with the line out. Justin straight off the top. Look at that into the midfield. Go. Chris Checkeye, job done. Look at that. It does work well when it works well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look, I guess.
Lovely. Hugh Worthington involved again, and once again we got opportunities to play, and just boys playing with ball in two hands and trying to keep it alive. A little grubber through, turn them. Halafanua and Bullimacau combine, and you'll take that. That's a kind of net gain, is it? Oh no, it's half time. Oh, an opportunity. Go on then, talk us through what you're thinking going into half time. Looking forward to seeing Mike Raya?
Thinking, thank goodness we've got the hill. I think I don't know what the score is now. Is it 28-all?
No. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, go on. I can't remember what it was at half time, but it was a lot to a lot.
Yeah. So what's nice is, worst case to Mikey saying, well, at least we've got a bonus point to start, and then and now you're just thinking, right, let's regroup, and you know the momentum's definitely on our side at the moment, so you've probably got quite a nice feeling going in. The crowd definitely give you what's what on the way in to tell you if you're going well or not. So
you know a little bit about the feel of it. Justin, you know, bearing in mind there may be people listening that you know sort of are under the age of 18. Can you sort of talk to us through how you know sort of the halftime chats go? Are they fire and brimstone, or are they a little bit more, you know, sort of quietly spoken than that?
I think a mix of the two. Sometimes, I guess sometimes you just need to be told that maybe you're not doing things as well as you should be doing. Give you a bit of a kick up the bum.
Yeah.
But then other times it's about getting a bit of detail from the coaches who've obviously got a better perspective on the game. And so it's a bit of, I don't know, sometimes altering a bit of a mindset and then adding some detail on that and kind of mixing the two together and trying to find a recipe that works really.
Yeah, I mean, Justin mentions it there, Jake. That's a really important point because obviously the coaches are, as I understand it, are up in a very particular area and are seeing the game in a slightly different viewpoint, and that's important to listen to what they're seeing, and especially from your point of view, Jake, trying to exploit the opportunities that they will talk about.
Yeah, massively. I think testament to the coaches at Bedford. It is always a pretty relaxed environment in that changing room. There's, I think, only on 2 or 3 occasions did I see Mike actually really lose it, and that's when you know you were bad. But actually, you're just trying to reinforce clarity of, is what we spoke about in the week happening, or is it they're doing something completely different and we've got to rethink how we're attacking or defending? So, they make our life a lot easier, and they can see it when their heartbeat's not racing and the body's going through pain. So they give us good clarity going into the start of the second half.
Do you very briefly, Jake? You've moved into a coaching role at the moment. And obviously you're relatively new to that coaching environment. But how much of how you were coached is influencing you being a coach, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I think you always take bits contextually from what I think you remember as a player. I think the key bit for me is I was always a player that wanted just really clear, concise information that would give me the best opportunity to do what I do well. So I'd always try and use that from a coaching point of view. And I think the best coaches have a good appreciation for how the lads are feeling emotionally, to deliver the message properly, whether they need a pick up or whether they actually need a calm down and let's get our detail right around set piece or backs attack. So understanding the room is really important, as well as giving your technical or tactical knowledge.
Yeah, Justin, on that point about reading the room and reading the types of player, and that's the skill of the coach, isn't it? Is saying not different things to different people, but slightly altered messages to certain individuals within, because you can't just say the same thing in the same way, because that's not always going to work with everyone, is it? Yeah,
exactly. I think that the trick is to be as constructive as possible. Like we've defended with as much effort as we really could have. It's just a little bit of details and certain misalignments and things like that. So it would be kind of wrong in that scenario to sort of tell us we're not working hard enough, we're doing badly or whatever, because the intent is there. It's just more sort of details. And I think that's the crucial thing to get across in those sort of times. Is to offer a little bit of positivity, but then also kind of give a bit of detail as to how we can improve and be better. So
I'll tell you a little something. We'll come back to it a little bit later. I remember this game very well. I was sat up there, and alongside me, just a couple of seats down, was a young lad. He must have been no older than 5 or 6, with a plate of chips and with his dad, really enjoying himself. He said it was his sort of 3rd or 4th time, I think, at the Blues, and he was really starting to grow and enjoy it. And the reason I mention him is because we'll talk about him a little bit later. But we start again. The game has restarted, and sort of Coventry have got the ball again. Talk about the way that you sort of want to start a second half, Justin, if that makes sense, because it is a restart, and as we see Rich Lane weaving his way through, my goodness me. I mean, I was about to say how you want to start. We'll get the ball to Rich Lane might be one of the things that you want to say.
I think. Oh,
sorry, shall I say that again?
No, you go, Justin. You go.
Well, I was going to answer your question, Sam. So so I think the half ended on a bit of an anticlimax. I think we were really building there, and for it to just go out of touch and for that to be our fruits of our labour was a little bit disappointing. So I think I think the big message was that if we can come out firing in this half with the momentum that we picked up from the previous half, then we would do all right. And I think pinning them down into this corner is especially crucial with the slope in mind. So, a lot of teams sort of lose their heads a bit with being put in that corner for a long periods of time. So
another attacking line out, and you're tapping people. Are you telling them to swing it back inside? Is that what's happening there?
Yeah, I think the guy that's kind of can see a little bit more and can feel things a little bit more. You're trying to give a little bit of direction as to where the pressure might be coming from and where you can sort of exploit, I don't know, a little gap or whatever. So I think, as always, communication is quite important.
And the big bear-like paws of Jared Williams coming to the rescue.
There we have it.
Yeah, Jakey, exactly what you would have wanted to start a second half with.
Yeah, 100%. If you look, that's probably the spitting image of their first try. Line out pressure, having to defend, and it's tough on that slope. So, even lads like ourselves that played on that pitch for a long time, it's just as hard. So, real good start, and nothing better than lighting up the crowd by doing what he does, and then forwards giving us a nice bit of direct platform. And I just did a lot of pointing and pretending I'm doing stuff.
And Jake going to try and add an extra couple of points. A little bit of a circus trick in off the post, always nice.
Yeah, wind, a lot of wind. A lot of wind.
A restart. Go on.
Yeah, you're excited. Yeah, you're excited now. So now you scored that early on. Now you're thinking we had the momentum. It's probably still in our favour. Okay, let's see what we can go and do now. And I think that probably makes that half-time team talk perfect, because the coach would have said they start well and score early.
Yeah, and that sort of 40 to 60 minute sort of set of the game is where you will be thinking, let's push away, let's pull away from them and make the game ours.
Yeah, definitely.
Sharpie to Jared Williams again, trundling around in the loose, incredibly difficult man. He was such a big man to sort of just get your hands on, wasn't he?
Yeah, and surprisingly fast as well. You know, those little legs were carrying him quite a distance. He really was motoring back then.
Yeah. Back then.
Back then.
A good carry again from Blanchet. Again, quick ball, misdirection, and Jake, you're able to rely on Robling's boot as well. Again, ball players, just that opportunity to change the angle, change the question.
Yeah, really important. And Lou is a real natural kicker. Rich Lane, really natural. So, it makes our life a lot easier to put teams under lots of pressure. And, we knew Coventry liked to get the ball out because they're a pretty strong set piece, and it gives us a chance to build our attacking platform now.
Let's talk about that. There's not a huge amount of it in this game, but the kicking game and being able to sort of pin sides back is a big part of rugby in the top flights all around the world, but especially in this country, with the sort of weather. Being able to sort of dictate the game with your boot is an important part of it.
Yeah, it's huge. I think that's probably one of the things I was probably most happy with throughout my career, apart from missing touch so many times. But I think the ability to make teams defend multiple options is essentially the threat. So if we're trying to defend, if you're always just trying to attack through malls, it becomes quite easy. If you're always trying to attack by being direct, it becomes quite easy. And Bedford's point of difference has always been an ability to change attacking opportunities. So we've seen off the top line-outs, we've seen driving line-outs, we've seen tactical kicks. So all of a sudden you're making defences make lots of tough decisions.
Scott Tommy with his ball under the wing and trying to sort of like have a little bit of a snipe down this short side. And again, Coventry just starting to grow again a bit in confidence, and you must have been worried about them having their hands on the ball for too long, Justin.
Yeah, I think in the first half they showed what they were capable of, ball in hand. So I think for us it was more about having the ball in our hands for longer than for them. So yeah, it was a little bit touch and go every now and again when they made little breaks and stuff. But I think we ultimately held out a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, Fenner looking for the set piece and more work for you to do here, just outside your 22. Jake, I can see you sort of operating in this small channel down the left-hand side. What's all that about? Why aren't you in the midfield where the big tackles happen?
Because there was actually a lot of work around their biggest threat was front of the line out, so put your best defender there.
Right.
So we intimidate them away from that space, Sam. So thanks for that. I'll tell you what, I'll be now I'm working with us at Northampton as well. There's some something he came up with, and you see a few teams do it, but definitely some guys renowned for big defences. So switching that round is quite a clever tactical ploy to. Yeah. He sold it to me to keep me fresh to attack, but it's probably just to get him out of the way, to be honest.
Again, talk about the communication here, Justin, because it's scramble and it's sort of getting yourself in the position. Oh, yeah. As soon as I say that, a penalty is given away.
I think quite a lot of the times when you're the one making the tackle or you're involved in that breakdown, it's quite hard to, as you're picking yourself up, it's quite hard to gauge where it is that you're needed. So that kind of communication from people outside of you who are like pushing and pulling you, telling you exactly where you might be best utilised is kind of key.
Yeah. Kicking to touch there, Jake. Do you pick someone out in the crowd? Do you pick a bobble hat out in the crowd?
Yeah, you try to. Normally try and do it at the back of the crowd, so you definitely make sure. But yeah, I think there, middle of the pitch, that's a real hard place to get distance. You're just thinking, where's a good place on the field for us to launch our attack from?
Jacob Fields with the line out throw. Adjusting up again. Yes. Neat little take. And again, Jared Williams off at a canter. Does well to produce the ball again. Offloading, good handling. Sean McCarthy, some of the best hands that I've seen on a prop forward in the Blues for Sean McCarthy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely a back stuck in a fat body, I think.
And Rich Lane is off again. He just makes such good yards, and this was a game of vintage Rich Lane, and we're going to see his try in a few minutes or so. And he was sort of everywhere, but again, Sharpie's asking questions. Tapley in off his wing. Again, you can see that the phase building. Lennon's so excited he falls over.
Oh, I remember that. I lost my head at Jiffy at that point.
Did you?
That's the one time he should have let the ball go there for sure. Yeah, that's definitely a moment. But me and James hadn't played together that much, so and same as Czech. So doing a lot of learning on the field as we go as well around how we get the best out of each other.
There's a kick at goal here. You quickly asked for the penalty. Is there anything in that? To a certain extent, are you trying to sort of manage the game a little bit?
Yeah, I think you go from. I'm going to check the scoreboard, but I think we might be up by now 7. So this will probably take us to 10 points clear. So we probably knew we were going to concede again through both teams are attacking. So it's just about keeping that scoreboard edging further away, and then from a selfish point of view, trying to add a few points to the tally before I retire.
Yeah. Okay. Always aware of that. A few substitutions. How crucial is that, Justin, to sort of get people not only onto the pitch as far as freshness, but also get them into the game and get them going?
Yeah, I think especially for some of the big boys, I think it's important to give them a bit of a rest after a bit of a game like that. So you see some of the heavies supporting the pitch in the corner there. But yeah, like you said, it's really important for those players that are coming onto the field as well to have an impact. Yeah. I remember it's sort of, when you come on for the last 30 minutes or however long's left, sometimes you want to do too much, and you're kind of you want to be starting next week, so you're trying to do as much as you can in order to benefit the team, but also hopefully get selected the next week. So
Sure.
I know that sometimes it's a lot about managing that sort of energy that you've got, and also giving positively. So
because you've got to stay connected. You mean you've got to stay connected to everyone else. You can't just sort of like burst forward and try and do things on your own, because you'll create more problems than you solve.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a bit of over eagerness can sometimes hamper the team a little bit. So like what we talked about with regards to just sort of doing your job and that sort of thing still applies here.
It's a great steal from Sean McCarthy there. I mean, you can see it diving around and gives them an opportunity, these backs, to get in behind. And he almost went for it, and Halafanua comes back with it. And is it going to be adjudged to be a knock on by 1-2 players? I'm not quite sure. I think we'll come back there. But great steal from Sean McCarthy to turn the ball over, and that must be, Jake, from a Blues point of view, that sort of turnover and then quickly into your hands. That's exactly what you're after, isn't it?
That's your dream world. That's where we'd spend most of our time training, in that sort of high transition zone. So, that broken field stuff is where, we saw early on, even against a set defence, we'd get excited about attacking it. So when it's broken, it becomes, sending Ryan and Lena on exciting journeys to beat people 1-on-1 for fun.
A couple of new front rowers on here. Charlie Clare's on, Alex Penny's on. Just briefly talk about your role at 6 at scrum time, Justin. Different prop forwards need different things. Are you trying to remember what Alex Penny wants on that near side as far as sort of load and things like that?
I think there's a few little details that some props prefer and things like that, but ultimately it's all about getting in there and giving it as much as you can, I guess.
It's as unglorious as that. It's pushing, really. That's what you're going to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes down to just pushing, I guess. Or pretending to push, anyway.
I'm trying to big up the technicalities of the scrum here, Justin. You're undoing all my good work.
Rugby's a simple game, Sam. Rugby's a simple game.
A nice little nudge down to the corner, and you're going to sort of try and defend here, but offensively defend. Does that make sense, Justin? Would that be right? You're trying to put pressure on them deep in their half to kind of make a mistake to sort of force the ball out. No. Yeah,
exactly. I think kick pressure is a massive thing in the modern game.
Here we go. So I'm just going to stop you because we're just going to marvel at Lena's ability to beat every single player going. Sharpie, what do you say about that? I mean, but back perhaps when you were young, you used to have pace like that, but maybe not in your latter years. Extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, I sort of remember going over and saying, "Oh, I'm glad I taught you that, Lena." I'm glad we've been working on that in the week. But, I mean, there's not many people in the game that can do what he's just done there, and we don't want to pick him up too much. But I mean, that's an unbelievable effort, and that's probably the most soul-destroying thing for Coventry. We've actually, it's been quite a good even contest for this last 10 minutes. So for putting good kick pressure into getting the ball back and then Lena just beating 9 people was pretty cool. Did that win try of the season? It definitely should have done. I'm
not 100% sure whether it did. It might well have done from a Bedford point of view. Certainly, it may well have also been on there from a league point of view as well. Justin, did you ever used to have to tackle Richard Lane in training? Is it as hard as it looks?
No, thankfully not. No, I just kind of worried about the bigger guys. I think they're less likely to step you, so that's kind of where I tended to hang around. I definitely feel out of place being that far out. So it's a bit intimidating, that.
Mm. Credit to Coventry, because they are behind here, and the game does seem to be slipping away. But over the next sort of 10 minutes or so, they sort of regain a little bit of a foothold, and then of course end up just before the end going in front and almost snatching it. This credit to this Coventry side. Obviously Bedford won, and it was a great occasion for Goddington Road, but Coventry certainly played their part this afternoon.
Yeah, I think we're 17 points clear now. So, I mean, Mikey is definitely thinking this game's done. But you know,
and it should have been, Jake. It should have been done. Is that also? It should have been done. It should have been over. Bedford should really not have let them back in. Is that fair to say as well?
Yeah, 100%. But I think the way we've played this last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, has kept Coventry quiet, and they're always going to come back. It's just we didn't ride that very well, and you know, we spoke as a team and said, right, how do we get the crowd interested again? You know, so you know, we'd let them come back in and then win it at the end. That was always part of the plan.
I don't believe him, Justin. Somehow, I'm not sure I believe him.
I just do what I'm told. So if that was the plan, then.
Budgie's on the field, I see, making a nuisance of himself.
This is where Coventry are always good. You know, good set piece, strong. You know, Benny Adams just coming on here. For Bedford, a lot of energy. You know, this is not a bad side by any stretch. So we knew we were going to come under a bit of heat. So it was exciting to finish this game off.
Yeah, Tom Kessel is also one at scrum half for Coventry. And Ben Adams packing down on the blind side. Adam Peters and Ben Nutley in this back row for Coventry. Let's see what progresses from here.
A little bit of pushing.
Yeah. Again, they use Heath Stevens on that occasion to try and make a little bit of space, and one of the Bullen-McCall brothers is making inroads. That is the Bedford 22. Kessel again, George Oram involved. Tapley trying to make a nuisance of himself on the floor, and eventually it is spilt forward. You can see there's a firm. It's always interesting to watch a game back, and the way that as the game progresses, more and more sort of breaks happen. And I know it sounds obvious, but it is needed, isn't it, Justin? Just to sort of like, because generally the fatigue is such a big part of it, and trying to stay on top of being tired is kind of crucial in this league, especially against you know sides that are going to push you all the way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it all comes under sort of the game management aspect of it. I think, you know, the first 50, 60 minutes were pretty frantic. So there's going to be a lot of tired bodies out there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when you want the fresh legs to give those boys the energy.
Yeah.
So you see like Budgie's trying to get involved there. He's trying to make a nuisance of himself, like you said. Yeah. Like that gives everyone a bit of positivity. So yeah, it's about managing the tired bodies and then also getting a bit of energy from the new guys.
Sharpie, what are you talking about there with your back line? Are you talking about what you're going to do with the ball, and I think you're communicating there with Jared, are you, or with James Lennon? Or...
Yeah, we'll be having good chats here. This is the part of the pitch where it's probably easiest to attack from. You know, you're offsetting their backfield, so they've got to drop wingers back for the kick threat. So, you know, we're always going to be looking to try and have a play if it's the right thing to do. I can't really remember what happens if Jared probably picks it and carries, but you've got to have a plan at least.
Quick feed off the back, and all of a sudden Lennon is a little bit exposed. Coventry pour through. Bedford just about scrambled to get it back, and it is Justin Blanchet who's going to try and sort it out. No scrum half there, so you got to be careful. Lennon is back on his feet.
Should have box kicked that there, Justin. Just take the pressure off.
I was thinking about it.
Well, you see the box kick, even with the leave it to the right man. It's never that easy. Exactly, here we go. Yeah. Sharpie will sort it out. Give it to Lena. There we go. Was that carried back in? Is that what they're going to have a conversation about? I think it was carried back in. Again, so difficult. Even when I'm watching, I'm not involved in it, but working out where the ball is and what's going on, that must be really tricky to sort of work out and communicate with each other as to where the ball has started and what's been going on there, so that you don't infringe like you have done, and you're back in your 22, Jake.
Yeah, this is, that's a team killer, really. That's we've gone from having a good set piece to solving a set piece problem, to putting ourselves under kick pressure, to now putting ourselves under territorial pressure. So collectively we're struggling there, and these things happen, and it's now the job of the forwards to do some counting and pushing again.
Yeah, and we're back to kind of how Coventry started the game, that sort of rolling more, edging ever so closer. Try and talk us through this, Justin, as regards a scramble defence.
Yeah, I think this is just really just trying to get up on our feet, get as many blokes into the line as possible. I think it's quite difficult coming from a maul to sort of get round and make a nuisance of yourself. But yeah, I think are they going back for the penalty against us?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it difficult not to infringe in these situations? I know it sounds a daft question but it is almost so difficult not to infringe in those sort of maelstroms, those sort of storms as they come so hard at your line.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes you can see the ball, which is always very tempting, especially when you're a little bit desperate. Scrambling your own 5 metre line, but yeah, you just kind of have to believe in your own system and kind of stay cool a little bit, which is difficult at times.
Difficult also choice to defend, to go up, because also what's coming as well, Justin.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when you're defending your 5 metre line, if you go up, it's always a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to make sure that you're either taking that ball, otherwise you could be facing another spell on in between the posts. So it's quite a sort of hit or miss decision going up that close to the line. But I mean, yeah.
Do you remember, Jake? Do you remember any thoughts at this stage? Were you still relatively happy with what was going on and feeling as though you could sort of see this one out?
Yeah, you never. I think we're 10 points up here, or 12 at the moment. So the discussion would have probably been around. Look, we know we can go and score against these guys. So let's just get in the right places to give ourselves a chance. But we know there we've just put ourselves under a lot of pressure. So it'd be pretty simple. That's a collective effort. So now we go back to the boring stuff of what's the next job and how do we get our processes right to give ourselves the best chance to launch our attack again.
Fenner still kicking and kicking well by the looks of it. Again through the posts, yeah, doing well, as you say. A man with something to prove back at Goldington Road. Even though he does look, he might be running a little bit, hobbling a little bit. But this game certainly was starting to take it out of everyone. I remember, the fans were starting to look around at each other a little bit exasperated. So goodness knows how you felt, you boys. A restart from Coventry. And again, they come back. And again, Justin, you had to be really good around the tackle. Good low tackle there from Justin Blanchet. Had to be switched on because they were going to run it. Pat Tapley. A little bit of space, a little bit of opportunity. And I think it's Will Maisie goes back wearing 22 on his back and grabs the ball. It was, to a certain extent, Justin, it's kind of about finding a little bit of a mismatch, somebody who might be a little bit out of breath on both sides. You're trying to be the person that isn't exposed, and you're also trying to find someone to expose, yes?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you've kind of spent the last 60 minutes trying to bash down the door a little bit. So there definitely is some opportunity to kind of exploit maybe some of the less mobile players at this point in time. But yeah, I mean, I was never really involved with that sort of stuff.
There we go. Line out. Oh, a judge to be not straight. You'd never agree with that, though, Justin, would you?
No, they look fine to me. But it's just those sort of things that kind of just absolutely kill your momentum. So like previously, the way they scored, the way it was completely flipped over was just a bit of a miss kick, where we've done reasonably well to sort of absorb the pressure and then clear our lines, and through one slight miss kick, we were back under pressure again. So it's just kind of these big swings in rugby which can really determine how a game is won or lost. So
yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and it, to a certain extent, it's about how you react to that and sort of read those situations, Jake. You know, rugby is so much about adapting in the moment, isn't it?
Yes, you can have all the plans you want, but you know, no one would have planned for 50, 60 points to be scored already. So you're just thinking here. I'm thinking, how do I give the forwards a little bit of energy? That's what James will be thinking as well. So you try to think about how they can do that well, and then we're thinking as backs how to put the most pressure on so that they don't get lots of front football, because big ball carriers with front football becomes really hard to stop.
More substitutions as well, always an interesting one. More substitutions in the front row. I think have we got a complete check? No, we've still got Scott Tolmie on, but we've got two new front rowers. Charlie Beach and Josh McNulty are on pillars in that scrum, and that does make things, you know, sort of a challenge. Fresh people in the front row. Justin, you've got to find something deep inside you, and as you said before, push with all your heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop pushing there.
Yeah,
that was a bit unfair. That
was probably the wrong scrum to look at.
Coventry come forward again. Kessel again, big runners. David Falaeta, and more Islanders out wide as well. Buller Macau. Bedford all of a sudden out, but another Matt Worley, another tricky man to stop when he gets going. Again, all the way back here, Jake. What are you shouting there? What are you sort of saying? Set it up again. Are you looking for a slightly better angle for a clearance kick?
Yeah, so probably I imagine, I don't know if I kick it or if Jiffy's going to kick it. So just manufacturing our best people on their feet to chase, and giving Jiffy the best angle to. I think he might mistouch you, but that's the kind of kick when you're under that type of pressure to kick it out, so you don't get that coming back at you, which is tough when you've just played. I don't think Jiffy had played more than sort of 60, 70 minutes total, so now he's been asked to play 80 minutes at a very high-paced game. Is never easy.
Yeah. Coventry again start to make a little inroads, and this is Ben Nutley through and across the line, and there was certainly in the crowd an element of about this. Did you remember feeling it on the pitch? Just a slight change, a slight sort of belief back from Coventry.
Yeah, massively. This is you're going from 12 points to 10 points to now 2 points maybe, or 3 points. So now you're thinking, right, lads, come on, we've got to find this next gear. And you know, the frustration there is if the ball had gone off the field, you probably get another chance to defend it.
Yeah.
But that's that's not on Jiffy. That's the same way when I missed touch earlier. So you've just got to now regather and try and think about how you get yourself back to being positive.
And Fenn will have the kick here as well, and try and get Coventry even closer. I mean, there was certainly a growing sense, and I mentioned that young lad that was sat next to me. He was starting to get more and more vocal, and I remember it so clearly. He was screaming Bedford at the top of his voice. He really was going for it, and I just remember thinking, you know, rugby for such a young kid like that to have a side like Bedford. I was kind of thinking to him, or wanted to say to him, you don't know what you signed yourself up for, mate. This is, it's like this all the time with Bedford. So, I remember always wanting to lean into him and saying, this is what you signed. If you're going to support Bedford, you've got to get used to this. Bless him.
Try planning it, Sam.
I can well imagine. It must be something else. but he was very vocal at this stage, and I think everyone was getting a little bit more tense. The pint glasses were being held a little bit tighter as sort of Coventry came back into it. Kessel, I think, will probably look to clear his lines, even though this was an area of danger previously. And Jared straight on it. Look at that again. Just those sorts of moments you talk about momentum, but that sort of thing. This is an opportunity. They've made a mistake. Let's get into them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, excited. Yeah, you're excited about getting the line out flowing, and getting to make lots of decisions defensively now.
Justin, in particular, line-out call here. You got big Will Carrick-Smith on the field with you as well.
Yeah, we'll watch how this plays out, I think.
Yeah, it worked. It worked, Justin.
Yeah.
Lane again, almost back onto his feet so quickly. Charlie Clare playing his part. Flanagan combining again. Bring Jared Williams into it. He takes on Halafanua. Reset. Blanchet trying to clamber through a hole.
Great carry, that.
Clare again. This game was seesawing this way, and that Pat Tapley dropping the ball. All that good handling and all that frustration. You can see there's a little bit of frustration coming out there, and Pat Tapley puts his hands up. But you're still in the right part of the field. I suppose that's something to be said for it.
Yeah, this is just time in their half is the key. I can't remember if we're just up or just down. I think they might score again once more, but
yeah, they do score again.
Yeah, so we're just up, so just timing down in this place. I remember that because Fenner tore his pec here, which I remember seeing, which was pretty brutal, as you can see in that bottom corner. So, they're the kind of people you need to try and go after whilst they're struggling, whilst the game's on. But no one wants to see those type of injuries. No. For anybody.
No. And was that done in reaching for a tackle? Is that how that is done? That sort of arm out and just overextending that joint?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was Justin's carry, a bit of footwork, just offsetting tired defenders, and then Fenner was definitely not one to shy away from collision, so just got it slightly wrong that time. But moments like that are pretty big when your goal kicker who's been so good goes off as well. So it's horrible when you see your mates have that.
You're talking to Ben Nutley there. I saw Jake. You wandered in and had a chat with Ben Nutley.
I just said, how are you guys so tired? You train full time, and
always an opportunity. Always an opportunity.
The weird one with this though is I hadn't seen any of these lads since I left, right. So there's a good chance to, always wanted to have a bit of a laugh on the field. I know I'd be pretty serious and hot-headed at times, but I like to enjoy myself as well. So it was nice to actually have a catch up and chat with these boys properly.
Yeah, more substitutions. Tolmie comes off, and as you say, Fenner comes off as well. And that there would have to be a bit of a sort of shift around. And were you aware of that then, Jake? With Fenner going off, you were aware that they would have to shift things around and maybe a little bit vulnerable? Yeah,
hugely. And like now you've gone from very good defender. I think he'd gone to 13 at that point. So just a very very natural person to. This is now a hard time of the game to come on. To bring that energy and clarity. So. Now you're going to try and find the weaknesses. I think Benny Adams might have to defend in the centres, which is always exciting to attack against forwards out there.
Again, just slowing down a little bit, and you can understand it. Every player has been given everything, and just trying to just thankful for a few extra minutes from the whistle of JP Doyle.
I think you're right there, Sam. I think there's a few tired bodies there.
A lot of you guys, you're playing the full 80, and giving it your all. It's it's such a high paced and high energy game. It makes it even more difficult. You can see the ascendancy there in the scrum, Justin.
There we go. There's a technique.
You must have been pushing in that one. It makes a lot of difference when you push, Justin.
Hey, kids, if you're watching, that's what you do if you're at 6. That's
Worley does well, and the ball out wide. Tapley trying to make a little bit of a hole in the fence. Again, good hands. A little bit of misdirection from Jake Sharp there. Looked as though he might be going behind the man. Rich Lane, Sharpie in the way, but allowed to play. Mark Flanagan hits the deck. Ball being recycled. Blues have had the ball but have gone backwards. This is probably a good defensive set from Coventry. But trying to unlock the door. Robley places it back. James Lennon still going, gets a certain Justin Blanchet out the way. Lennon again, quick ball. Jake Sharp decides to come back the other way. Find one of his big men in Jared Williams. Lennon looking one way, then the other. The run from Flanagan has to stop. You can see the fatigue, the speed with which the game was played in the first half has slightly disappeared. Alex Penny tries to bring a little bit of energy to it. Again, more quick ball. Tapley involved. But the ball is spilt and Coventry have got hold of it and perhaps feel as though this dramatic ending to the game could be theirs.
That's a real hard position to be in, Samuel, and you've got a team so good at attacking as Coventry are, and you don't want to give them the chance to attack, but running that risk defensively is also very hard. So, getting that balance right of overplaying and underplaying is always a challenge, which we definitely got wrong there.
It's an offside penalty, a good spot again from the officials. And it's without much hesitation, Jake. You put your hands on your hips and ask for the tee.
Yeah, I think this probably takes us to 6 points clear, which means the pressure's on the conversion, if anything. But also, this just kills a good minute.
And do you take the whole minute, Jake? I mean, are you aware of the fact that you try and take as much time out of the game as possible?
Yeah, so early on in the game, I'm not, but definitely these periods, I'd have been chatting to JP and just asking how long, and how long can I take, and can you give me 10 seconds to go? And, trying to get all that balance right, just give the lads the most rest.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy when it looks like that, Jake. Nice slot.
You used to win that time.
Down a bit there, Jake.
I used to win that time. It's behind me. It's perfect.
Yeah. You see JP Doyle asking, just to check the timings. It's getting to that sort of time of the game. You remember thinking about anything in particular at the moment, Justin? Were you trying to work it in a certain way? Any conversations, or were you just trying to hold on to the ball?
Yeah, just trying to catch that ball, I think, Sam. No, I think for us, in these sort of crucial periods in the game, it was a lot about being as tactical as possible. So whether that be holding on to the ball for as long as possible, or and exiting when it was sort of on our terms.
Yeah.
But as we can see here, Coventry are now back on their rampaging attack a little bit. So.
Yeah, again, Ben Adams down that left-hand side. Again, quick ball and good direct runners. Will Carrick-Smith gets his big hands on it, and Sharpie looks down the field and tries to turn them. Didn't matter really to a certain extent where that ball was going to go. Just get it deep as possible, Jake.
Yeah, probably not ideal to kick it to Dave, but yeah, just to get long and just try and again just be territorially advantaged and force them to play out. We knew they had to play, so you try and back your defence to do it, even though they are such a big threat on the ball.
And they come forward. Big men running hard, flat passes as well, just to really keep you on your toes. Tom Jubb, another man who played at Bedford previously. This Coventry side was certainly laced with a fair few who'd worn blue in the past. Out over the top. Ratu Bulamakau. A little bit of injection of speed and skill from him. Maisie goes in and plays scrum half. People flying in. A little bit of space here, and there was numbers as well, and you could sense it in the crowd. Knew it was coming. Ben Adams lurching his way towards, and Nutley with another killer blow. No one at home. Everyone sort of scrambling to get back in place. And I think, to a certain extent, Coventry felt that they'd done it. This was a little bit of a nail in the coffin. They thought it was.
Yeah, this is where the crowd comes in, Sammy. This is where you need that little pick me up. There's probably a couple of minutes left, and I mean the chat under the post is pretty easy. It's, let's not play this whole game and lose this. So let's get the ball back and score before the end of the game.
Light has changed as well. Quickly got dark, and the floodlights are on, and the spotlight was on Bedford trying to get themselves out of this, wasn't it, Justin? You couldn't let this crowd down. With this game that you'd played, you had to get something out of it. You had to get back into it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we put a lot into that game, and I think it would have been incredibly unfortunate had we not have come away with something a little bit more than this. So I think everyone sort of knew that, and I think that really sort of spurred us on a little bit.
So that, as I understand it, put them in front. Yes, would have been 52-48. Would it have been? No, 52-46 maybe.
6, I believe.
Yeah. And I'll take you back to that young lad. At the moment, he's in absolute tears. He's three seats down from me, and his head is over, and he's in absolute tears. And I'm trying to tell him that we're still playing and that there's still belief. And there are tears rolling down his cheeks. It's the best day in the world has turned suddenly into the worst day in the world, and it's going to turn back again the other way. It is the most extraordinary afternoon. And this poor 6-year-old kid, I will never forget him going through the absolute ringer. Are you aware that you do this to these young lads, Jake? Are you aware that you're doing it to them?
I'm feeling the exact same thing. So the biggest one here now is you just look at each other. It's hard not to start thinking, don't make the mistake. So, to get that ball back from kick-off to then Jiffy, who's not played 80 minutes for the whole season now, is at 79 minutes and still running like that is... the beauty with Bedford is you've got a chance to score from whenever at any point, and the crowd help with that. So the less tears and the more excitement they give, the better for the lads, for sure.
How much are you aware of the clock? I mean, does the referee keep on sort of telling you how long is left and to try and manage that?
Yeah, just keep asking questions of him, and that's when someone like JP is good because he'll actually have conversation with you. The running clock over on the side is always there, but it's always good to check, and the lads will just be thinking push and give yourself a chance to get the ball back, and us backs were thinking how quickly can we score this and get it done.
Yeah, I think that running clock in the corner plays tricks on you sometimes.
Yeah, it does. I was just about to say, because you can't rely on that. Unfortunately, it's not like other clocks around in different clubs. It just runs, to 80 minutes and then stops, and it creates a huge amount of suspense. But I suppose it's not very useful for you players.
No, exactly.
It's not ideal.
I think that's when, I guess, speaking to the ref and speaking to any of the officials comes in quite handy, because they've obviously got the right time. So,
what a scrum penalty, though, Justin, eh?
It's all that pushing.
Counting and pushing. I'm getting a real insight into blindside play at the moment for you, Justin. Counting the line out and pushing.
Make notes in this, Sammy. You can use this for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If only I'd known this earlier in my career, I could have done something with it. Right, no questions asked. Into the corner we go. Look at you, Jakey, firing into those forwards. Give us the ball back. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, just keep it straight, count your numbers up, and let's get it going.
Charlie Clare with the arrows. Up goes Flanagan. It's tried and tested. I try and sweep it round. Was that a thought, Justin? Maybe get over yourselves?
Yeah, that was a little switch, a little sheer around the front.
Yeah.
Because we knew they were going to bring pressure towards the back of the line, back of the maul. So there's a little switch play that we tried. We almost successfully got it there, but
now, Jake, you've come in and said that because it was an infringement from a line-out, you don't have to kick it.
Yeah.
Is that what you've just said?
Yeah. Just said let's go straight back there and take that risk out of missing touch again.
No, true. And I think there's an indication there from the fourth official to JP Dorr that was time.
Yeah, this is exciting, Toby. I mean, having a set piece scrum pen's massive. To then get this chance to win it is, Coventry would be a lot more nervous than probably we are at this point.
Absolutely, and in come the backs as well to do some pushing, Justin.
Yeah, that's always a bit emasculating when the backs get involved.
But they haven't quite got there. Oh, they've done well to keep the ball in. Almost to the line. Jared gets it back. Justin has a go. Just shy. What are you shouting at the moment, Jake? What are you thinking?
I can't remember. All I remember is the next carry we get a little bit of momentum and then sort of get a good chance for a one-on-one. I think with Benny Adams. So, I mean, that's unbelievable attack and defence from both teams. To be fair, Coventry to get reset after being on the back foot is massive. And
yeah, it is Flanners. A little bit of a nice set, nice pick up. Lennon Sharpie at the wrong man, offload, Hutler, and Goldington Road goes absolutely mental. Absolutely brilliant. Talk us through your feelings there, Justin.
Oh, I think just ecstatic. I think we just needed a little bit of magic from Sharpie. And that ultimately was the difference in the game, I think. Like Sharpie said, there's fair play to Coventry for really fronting up that whole game, and especially in that last period of play. And if it wasn't for a little bit of magic from on Sharpie's behalf, then it might have been a different score. But
talk to us then, Sharpie. That you just saw that, you just thought it, you just trusted it, you trusted the men outside you.
yeah, it's huge. I just think you get back versus forward. You want to have a go from an attacking point of view. I mean, this kick still breaks me that I missed it.
No, wait, let's pretend it went over.
Yeah, okay. Let's take it. But I mean, that's just a sense of relief from being 20 points down to being 20 points up to being 3 points down to being 5 points up. Is it's a good day in the office, and time for a beer now with the crowd for sure.
Yeah, huge roller coaster of emotions. And did it take you a little while, an extra amount of time to get over, Justin? If you like, did it take a bit of time to sink in?
yeah, I think so. So like Sharpie said, we were however many points down at the start, and then we were up, and then we're losing again. So it's like these massive swings. When you're playing, it's very difficult to gauge. And the fact that we'd spent so much time under our own posts and yet still won the game was massively relieving. A real testament to the effort that we put in. So.
A fantastic game, fantastic opportunity to rewatch it with you boys. What was that like, Sharpie? Rewatching it, did it all come back very well?
Yeah.
Did it make you want to get back out there, lace up the boots again?
No. That's a nice one to relive, and I've enjoyed the last couple of weekends as well from the old games from Ealing and London Scottish. So that it's all been good, and it's always nice to recapture some old glory. And but you never really remember the game; you just remember those feelings and doing it with your mates and having a good time. And I've probably got a lot of years ahead of me now, just looking at games, getting frustrated as a coach. So that was a lovely one to watch.
Well, my thanks very much, Justin Blanchet. Good luck in your retirement. It goes without saying. I hope everything goes well with you, sir. And thank you very much for coming on and sharing your thoughts. You'll always be welcome back at Goldington Road. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, really good. And Sharpie, I know that you're down the A428 playing for or representing another side. I don't know I can't remember the name of them now, but they're another side. And I know you're involved there, but you will always be welcome back at Goddington Road. You know that, Sharpie.
That's always good to know. Thanks. Mate.
Even with green, black, and gold on, you'll always be welcome. An absolute treasure. Thank you very much, boys, for coming along and spending time with us, looking back on that. And from all of us at Goldington Road, a safe, I was going to say a safe journey. You're not making many safe journeys, are you, at the moment? Well, I hope you're not anyway. Thank you very much, and very goodbye. Thank you very much. Goodbye.